Hi, this is Ginger with the Overdrive. How are you?
Good, Ginger. How are you, kiddo?
I'm good. I'm always so happy to get to talk to you. So it's a good day already.
Oh, good. Good, good, good.
Well, I am so happy to talk to you. Are you ready?
I am ready, kiddo.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
It's Monday morning, and I know everybody's staying at home most of the time right now, but it it makes us like kind of, well, for me it makes me like harder to get up in the morning. But I think you're always that early morning guy, aren't you?
Well, you know what? Between my wife and my kids, yeah, I don't have much of a choice, to tell you the truth. When I'm on the road, it's funny. Even on the road, I get up earlier probably than most musicians. But what can I say? That's me. I just But this is great. I mean, 9 o'clock for me is like I've been up for 3 hours. So well, two
Oh,
hours.
wow. Oh.
So totally cool. Totally cool.
You know what's really interesting about interviewing you today? Well, for one, I have told you before, you're still my number one favorite person to interview. I tell people and they're like, I'm your favorite person, I'm like, nope. I'm like, I love you, but you have not dethroned John yet. So sorry, not there.
Well, I feel very honored. Thank you, Kim, very much.
Well,
I hope I don't disappoint
you never do. You're fun. I love your voice. You're gracious. And then, I mean, the music is just gravy. But and I think I could listen to you, read the phone book or anything else. It just sounds cool, no matter what you say.
Well, you are sweetie. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And what's funny is I did not plan it this way, but of the two people I'm interviewing today, not only are they both named John, but you both recently did a video together. I'm interviewing John Schneider this afternoon.
Oh, fantastic! Hey, listen, I was very impressed with John. He sings really good.
He
I didn't
does.
realize it, but before he was an actor, he was actually a professional singer, and I could see it now. He's really good at country,
That's his thing for
and
sure. Yeah.
and it was he did a great job. He was. I think you're talking about the fact that Jay Sekulow band and he.
Yep.
We did something together,
Uh-huh.
and that was fun. I did a movie with John a long time. Well, several years ago called Adrenaline. And I was just he was the main star, and I was just a sort of a guest performer in there, just for like one little thing. But it was fun to see him then, and we bumped into each other several times in the last 10 years. So be able to watch him sing was really fun.
And what's funny is he's kind of a like you. He hasn't slowed down. I think he's sped up. The like as the years go by, I think he's going faster than he ever did. But he's always
Oh yeah. Oh
he sings, but he's behind the scenes producing movies. He's always in the movies. He's on TV series still. Like I told him, I said, it seems like you're just you're working every day of the week, maybe doing something else. And he said, Ginger, for every 25 projects I've got going on, I've got another 25 waiting in the wings. He's like, I have no intention of slowing down. But yeah, the music thing, yeah, I think people don't realize that's kind of, I think that's always been a first love. But once you become Bo Duke, it's kind of hard to get typecast as a musician. They don't want you out of
yeah.
that role.
Yeah, it's a little tough after that. Yes.
Well, I just thought it was a cool thing that, I was like, wow, I didn't mean to have two Johns on there, but I also I didn't know you guys did that video together. I was like, there's John Schlitt in there. I see him.
Yeah, I was just part of the band and just doing a little background vocals because he and his partner did all the singing, and they did a great job. So it was an honor to be in there and be a third voice for him, and just it was weird for me because I just had to sort of just totally try to stay out of the way and not be, a lead singer. So it was fun. I enjoyed it very much. Loved the J band and loved making sure that band is represented top notch. So if I could do my part, it was a lot of fun.
And I think we might have talked about this the last time we talked, but I've been working with Jason Fowler. I've been helping him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
and it's like I just I told him the other day. I said I think in some way you're like another son John Depp never had. Like now you're starting to look like him. You sound like him. Like, do people tell you that? Because he reminds me of you.
well, I hope he considered that a compliment. Uh, you know, he's quite a musician. And he's just getting started. I mean,
Yeah.
his newest album is amazing. All his stuff is great. Um, his newest album has got songs on it that I'll be honest, I haven't heard the whole thing, but the songs I have heard have been amazing. So anything we can do to let's mention him in the interview.
Exactly. He's he reminds me of you because your positivity, like you just he's always like that. He's always
Yes.
encouraging and
Yep.
but talented, but even when he's talking, I can hear that gravelly tone, no matter what he does. And except maybe this week where he was at home with his kids, I heard a little bit more high pitch while he was chasing his children, but I think that was out of true fear. Like,
Yeah, probably fear and frustration.
yep, he's
After a
Mr.
while.
Mom.
After a while. Come
Yeah.
on.
So this has got to be kind of mind blowing. How is this affecting, you know, all of you as musicians? I haven't talked to any musicians that have hit since the virus hit.
Well, it shut us down. Period. The music's business, at least for the Christian music scene at this moment. I'm sure there's some exceptions, but pretty much for us, it's shut down.
Yeah.
My only concern about the changes here is that it is affecting the momentum of my CD.
Yeah.
Other than that, my life hasn't changed that much. I have to be a little bit more cautious, but I still get to do interviews with you all. I still get to, talk about things, but I'm not able to go on tour.
Yeah.
And that's a very important part, especially with it coming out at this moment. The album coming out at this moment, I really would like to be supporting it a little bit more live-wise. But again, it's not in the cards, and God has a plan. And when we look back at it in the hopefully the near future, we'll go, oh, okay, good plan, God. I'm glad you're in charge, and I'm not.
Well, and this album, I will tell you, the first song I heard was Feel It, and probably because that was the one that we got as a radio single first. And I was like, yes, I don't know where this whole album is going, but if it's anywhere near this song, like I'm so happy. I mean, that I love that song. Now it's I can't say it's my favorite because to me the album has so many different flavors to it. I hear some gospel in there. I tell you, I went back from going, that sounds like Boston. That was Sammy Hagar. No, that's more like Dokken. Like, it was kind of all over the place, which I love. Has so many different types of styles in there, even though it's all John Schlitt. You can't help that. I mean, it's all got that incredible growl, and I love that. I mean, even in the slower songs, you're like, it's like I like those songs, but it's like I have to go right back with one of your faster songs because I'm always missing that. I want you to go full out just to hear the whole voice.
It's funny. When I first joined Petra, everybody wanted the high voice to match Greg's. That was totally cool. But then Bob wanted the rock, and I was, he couldn't have gotten a better formula for me because I was right. It was absolutely what I'm about. And when I started singing for Petra again, man, everything was in the stratosphere. Um, Bob just likes to write, and back then, rock and roll was all lead singers were stratosphere. They had to be able to sing in the very high register, or you just weren't rock and roll. And so, but as time went on, the textures and the with the Hootie and the Glowfish and Third Day and all those got all of a sudden the lower tones started coming through, and it allowed me to get into as far as Christian artists, it allowed me to go into that lower texture, like a lot of the bands you mentioned.
Right.
And this record, oh my gosh, I have to say that I'm glad you heard it. I'm glad you heard the growl, that texture that I love doing, and it's probably most extreme on this record than any other record I've done.
And it is. It's like I said. I mean, for me, like I'm such a huge fan of the '70s and '80s rock because that's the sound that they had. Like I said, like Sammy Hagar. Like
Yep.
I love Dokken and Def Leppard, and and although some of those obviously they had their songs that might be in the higher register, but for a lot of those it was like full head voice, maybe growl, no growl, but had, just had that good, strong head voice in it. And so I just found myself like in a time capsule for a minute. Like, I was like, this is so awesome to combine your voice of Petra with some of those favorite artists of mine and some people who don't realize how, amazing some of that music was back then. I hope they get to enjoy and appreciate this album. Now, I do like even the video aspect of you peeling out in front of yourself, like you're in the car but you're on the couch thing. I mean, you're getting really talented, John. I have to admit, your singing's really good, but for you to drive off and still be on the couch, that was pretty cool.
How many people can say they can do that? Come on,
exactly.
Took a long time to figure out how to do that too.
I mean, that's and we can always use two John Schlitts in the world. That's for sure.
Talk about love to talk to me. I love talking to you, man.
It's so fun. Well, I will tell you, like, see, like, fighting the fight was when I went into my Boston thing. Like, I thought, like, it just had that, like, that sweeter, slower melody. But then you got, like I said, like, feel it. I just thought, man, I can't drive and listen to that because you would be going 80 before you even thought about it. I mean,
well, it's funny you say 70s, 80s because that's exactly what with actually all three producers, we decided that was the texture we were going to go for. Now we're going to keep it updated because if you don't, then it's just considered an old album.
Right.
But if you can take the best of the 70s and 80s and use the current sounds of 21st century, that's a beautiful combination. Because the magic of the 70s and 80s, excuse that word, but the technique of the 70s and 80s were very unique, and it took real talent to be able to play that kind of rock back then, because I know I toured in that section. I was part of it. I got to watch the bands that you mentioned, for instance, do it live. That was another thing. If you couldn't do it live, you didn't record it.
Oh yeah,
that was quality musicianship back there. And what we did was, on all the producers, we said, okay, let's get the quality we want. Let's think 70s, 80s, because that's my cup of tea. That's where I function the best. Doing anything else is not counterfeit. I mean, it's not what people expect from me.
Yeah.
And since it was 7 years since the last record, which was I won't even mention the Christmas album, which I love, but the Greater Cause.
Right. Yes.
That was going to be a hard record to follow.
Absolutely.
But what we did was, you know what? we're going to go back to the 70s, the 80s. Let's get guitar players that know how to play licks,
Yeah.
which meant you had to get real guitar players.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's what we did. We went in and started playing these 70s, 80s type of lick, and just started from there, and the songs would build from there. And then, as the music was written, we started. It came to us. The words came to us. It was cool. It was God. God was very much had his hands on it, and it was. And when it was all said and done, and all three different producers, we put the products down, and I started putting together as a set. I said, "Wow, God, you certainly knew what you were doing." It was very cool.
And was there, as far as you were saying, it had been like 7 years since you had done one before. Was there any reason that you were like, okay, now like it's just time, like, or did you just?
Yeah, actually, I was able to take a breath, and I just, in those 7 years, I'd been so busy with, oh my gosh, okay, when the Greater Cause and the Christmas album came out, not as much the Christmas album because you can only really support it like 1 month a year,
right?
But the Greater Cause, I spent 2 years because I'm on my own label, and I'm not a very good label. I have to work 2 or 3 times as hard to try to get the product out so people can even know it exists.
Right.
And it took oh my gosh, I worked that record for probably almost 2.5 years. And then about that time, Billy Smiley and I put together a record called The Union of Sinners and Saints. And I probably worked it for, probably 2 years. So, you start adding up the years, and all of a sudden you realize it's been 5. And then I'm working with the Jay Sekulow Band, and we're doing original stuff, and we're doing, and we're out in the public through the internet media.
Right.
And I mean, I'm busy. I've got John Schlitt Ministries. I'm working on a major project right now with it. So it wasn't like I was sitting around going, I wonder what's going on, I wonder what I can do. No, it was just basically, I didn't have any time.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I realized that my last solo record was, The Greater Cause. And I'm going, my gosh, I need to do another solo record. And so it took a year to do it, because I wanted the right producers. I didn't want them rushed. And of course, the guys I picked are all real busy because they're very good at what they do. So we had to work around everybody's schedule, including mine, because I was on 2 tours at the time. And so when you add up all those years, all of a sudden it becomes 7 years. And for me, it was like, I haven't been sitting around doing nothing. It's just, this was actually, but I will say that at the beginning of last year, I felt I really needed to do another solo record. And everything came together to be able to do it, where before they hadn't. And so, to me, it was God's timing. You know me, I don't take anything to chance. Nothing is a coincidence. It's all in God's hands. And that's how I saw it. And I praise God that it was out. I'm really excited that it's out now. And again, this is not an opportune time as far as the world will see it, but I'm sure God's got some major plans. And I think the record stands on its own. And when I do a record, I try to make sure the value of it isn't shallow.
Yeah.
And I try to because I know for a fact that, I'm not going to get major airplay with the industry as it is now because I don't fit their formula. But it's not for the industry. It's for people who understand my style of music and want to hear the message that comes across. And it can be a blessing. It can be a tool for whoever feels they fit in this genre.
And a lot of us, we want to hear that style, but to hear that style, unfortunately, anywhere else. It has to come along with inappropriate words and inappropriate
Mm-hmm.
context, and
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of us like that just love rock music, whether it's the power ballad sound or it's just full on, vocal rock. It's so great to have something that has the message along with that you can. Even my son's 25, and I don't think I told you before, but he discovered you without me. Of course, like I tell my kids all the time, what songs I like, and I think they're all in their 20s, so it's like yeah, yeah. But he, I have all the music that I have for my station, and he's able to play it, listen to it, and he heard Hope That Saves the World. And he was like, oh, who is this? Like, he's like, you know what? This one is amazing, Mom. And I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
I've told you about him before, but okay. But yeah, I mean,
good.
that suckered him in. He was a diehard then, and so he was so excited when the Go album came out. He's like on Spotify, like saving all the stuff to his list. He's like, oh man, he's like this is, and that's for him. That was what he he felt like he was missing more of the Hope That Saved the World sound. He
Yep.
wanted more
Yep.
like that. So for him, this
Yes.
album was like just perfect. And
Oh, fantastic. See, it's funny you admit that song and "Take Me Home."
yeah,
Those two songs off of the Greater Cause, I felt that that really was the direction I needed to head. Although, as you'll notice, it's actually a little rougher.
yeah,
I will, for instance, let's go. Come on. I
yeah.
mean that's probably the roughest I think I've ever sang, ever recorded. Now I sing that way live a lot just because it's a great texture, but I think it's the first time I've ever recorded that gruff. And this, I don't want to use the word gruff because it scare people away. It's very low texture, demanding.
It's just a good. I would just say like it's like a gravelly sound, or
Yep.
like I think it reminds. I think sometimes people talk about how um you know kind of that gravelly sound John Cooper has. And I'm like, yeah, but John Schlitt, you know, you know, I mean, that's little pebbles. John's got boulders coming out of his voice. Like, I mean, but I love John Cooper. I mean, and as a person and a musician, he's fantastic. So I would love to hear you two together. But but seriously, and now so the album being, I can only imagine being entitled uh Go. Like that's kind of you. I mean, that's like John Schlitt, like that's your mantra, is just go. You just go all the time. And I'm slowing down. I'm a little younger than you, and I think, man, I'm slowing down. And again, here you are driving off, speeding into a sports car. Well, I'm the person on the couch with the dust in their face. That's who that was on the couch.
Hey, you know what? I'm both those
You're
people.
both those
I'm both
people.
those people. Yeah, because I could sit on the couch with the best of them, but the truth is, when the opportunity comes, I am blessed. Really, the thing that's right now with this us being locked up in our houses, it's driving me crazy. It really is. I just praise God when I get to interview with folks like you because it gets me going again. And I do have a ministry project, like I mentioned before, that is construction, and I can go out and work on it by myself outside. It's a major deck for a lady who needed help, and I had a crew doing it, and ministry ran out of money, so I'm doing it myself. I've got all the material there, and actually it's a blessing. It's a blessing because I'm able to get out and keep moving. I did not like. I can sit on the couch for a little while, but it starts driving me crazy. I like being on the road. I like using the talents God's given me to do what I'm supposed to do. To absolutely entertain, but entertain with a message that changes lives. What a beautiful way to live.
It is. I can. I guess I was when I'm working closely with Jason Fowler, like that's why I see him like so much like you. I'm like, yeah, so I'm glad there's a changing of the guard, but the guards like working together in the meantime. Like you got to
Oh gosh, yes.
raise these young guys
It's
up, and
it's an honor. It's an honor to work with Jason because he's for real. He is the real deal. He's got a heart of gold. He was saved from alcoholism through Jesus Christ, and I'm telling you, people like that, they are thankful, and
he's
they go
very
out to let the
gracious.
whole
Yeah.
world know about it. And he just reminds me of me. That it was the same scenario. I mean, his testimony and mine are almost like I just let him do his testimony because it's exactly like mine. Just it's neat to hear a fresh version of it. When we're together, Jason is just absolutely a piece of art. I enjoy it. When Jason and Billy and I are together with the Union City Saints doing our acoustic thing, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of talent. We call it the storyteller tour, and it's funny you mentioned, guys. As I'm talking about this new record, Billy and I and Jason are trying to finish our second Union Citizens Saints CD. So, but it sort of threw a real wrench in it when you can't get together anymore. So,
I know with the social distancing. Yeah.
it was supposed to be finished by now, but again, everything is postponed and put it on the hold. But I'm glad you mentioned Jason because he's my guy. He's my guy. He's a real joy to be around. And if you get a chance, you've got to listen to his new CD because it is.
Well, I've been amazing. Promoting his new music. I've been promoting it for him because you know how it is as indie artists. As far as trying to get radio to listen to it. So I've been the last two songs, Freedom and Healer. I've been working to radio.
Isn't Healer amazing?
Oh my gosh, and radio responded to it quite well because it was kind of the perfect CCM, song because it said it lasted just around 3 minutes 30 seconds. It had all the formulas, but it also didn't have his rock side. It was more CCM style, but really he wasn't trying to do that either. It was just the song that he was led to do.
Right, it was how it developed. And again, it was for real. We started doing that song on the last couple of shows that we did, and I'm going, oh, Jason, that's an amazing song. It was amazing.
You get it stuck in your head, like in a good way.
Yeah.
There are days where I'm like, I need the chorus, like I need to like play the chorus in my head. So was there was there a reason behind? I'm joking around the word go, but really was that kind of your message when it was go? By looking at the album art and the title and just knowing who you are, I just figured it was kind of all about that, about going out in the world.
You know what's funny? We just started writing material. Our whole thing was we wanted to make an album. I'll go in and say I wanted us to stop sitting around. I felt like the message was go, but I didn't have that word at the time. I didn't know what I was going to say, but I wanted encouragement, but I wanted evangelism, and I wanted a drive for. In other words, I didn't want to just comfort music. We have plenty of that with praise and worship. Praise God for it. But I still say that Christian rock was meant to be evangelistic. It was meant to reach out, not necessarily just the Christian, but those people on the fence wondering what's going on, the ones that have been lied to all their life that need Jesus, and like exciting music. I've always felt that was a major responsibility especially for Christian rock, and so that was, as always, a major direction. Now, I didn't want to have a point where it was so Christian that it would turn anybody off that wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that'll happen. You get too Christian, and people will turn off before you can get a chance to hear it.
Yeah.
So there is a fine texture, a fine formula where you have to make sure the quality of music is amazing, but make sure that the message is direct enough to where they are hearing it, but not so direct that it turns them off.
Yeah.
And that is, it is tough to be a Christian artist. I tell you, I've been both secular and Christian. And anybody who says, "Oh, you're a Christian artist because that's all you can do," no, I'm a Christian artist because I have a responsibility to use this music in a very positive way. And it's tough. It's real easy. Yeah, I won't get into it because then people argue about it. But I mean, it is a tough formula to have a Christian musician's heart. And so when I started writing it, I just gave it up to God. They said, "Okay, guys, each of my camps," and I call them camps. I had 3 different camps. And for instance, with Dan, my son-in-law, and myself, we would bring in a really great guitar player writer, and we did that 4 different times. And we'd go, "Okay, now listen, we want 70s, 80s type of style. We want, do you have some licks that you wish you could do that you haven't had a chance to yet?" And I mean, you should see the light just brighten in their eyes. And, "Oh yeah, I got this." And we start doing that, and then we talk it through and say, "Well, yeah, but what if we did this?" And it was amazing how the music developed. And then we'd start writing the words. Not with any necessarily any direction, except is it saying something that can change life? And it was fun. But anyway, make a long story short, when it was all said and done, for instance, Dan, my son-in-law, goes, "All these songs have "go" in them. Maybe we should just call the record "Go." And I looked at him and went, "That's fantastic." Absolutely. I think he might have been saying it in a joking. I said, "No, that's a great idea." And then I had one more song to write, and it's probably the title cut. I did go with the intention of writing a song that was a title cut, and it's probably in probably one of my favorite songs.
Wow.
And see, that's how God works. I'll tell you. When it was all said, once that title cut was finished and it was totally complete, I said, "Oh God, thank you, because this is a complete package."
I thought it was. It was definitely. It was like like I said. Well, things that were my favorite things about the Greater Cause. Like those are like some of the things you pulled out, but then even more stuff, more. Like I said, I heard some gospel choir in there. I mean, you put several different flavors in it. You like you were saying. I think this is the most rocked out I've heard you, which I'm always wanting you to just let loose even more than you did the time before. Like you can't. I don't think you could rock too hard for me. I love every minute of it, but I like that you do pull it back and do some of those, like I said, kind of Boston almost type songs, and but then throwing in a little bit of R&B gospel in there. It was so cool to have all these different styles and different messages. But you're right. I mean, they were definitely all. I think "go" was the best word. And hopefully maybe with people being off work and at home, maybe that means more people hear your record because more people are listening to music right now.
You know what? And that would be God's plan. That is so cool.
I hope so.
Yeah, I just know that the reviews are fantastic. I've had, and I'm totally blessed. I mean, I was hoping, it was one of those things where I just hope people understand what we're doing, because I was around all these songs for like a year, so I loved them all, but after a while you just go, "Man, am I doing right? Is this going to be okay?" And you start
doubting,
second guessing yourself. And finally, when I put it together, when I put it all together and I created the set, better known as the CD order, I said, "Oh, this is good. This feels good. This is right, and it had a depth to it, which I was very. Again, all I could say was thank you, Jesus, because it certainly wasn't me. And as much as the talent I had as far as producers and musicians, they could only do their camp. They were only in charge of their camp, and when all of it was put together, it was very cool, very cool.
Well, I am just so thankful that it was the right time, because I know that it is so hard for musicians right now, but it's just hard to make a CD. Period. The money's involved, the time, and it.
Yeah.
Although some of it is obviously what you love, so there's a whole lot of it that's just work, I'm just so glad that you guys did get it done in time for it to be released, so that it's out there for us. I mean, that's selfish of me to say that, but I'm happy. I'm happy it's out there. And
Yeah.
I think no matter what traction you may or may not get during this time, it'll only ramp up the minute you have the Let's Go tour.
You know what? And that's another thing. What kind of tour am I going to do? It's going to take some really great musicians to play this stuff.
Absolutely.
That's very costly, and I think I've got a formula that's going to work, and I think people are going to be very excited about it. But that's when they'll let us out of the house. So
yeah, we got to be able to first congregate with more than 2 people.
Exactly. I mean, 10 people can't afford this tour.
Right.
So I'm pretty excited about it. I think this is giving me a chance to sort of think it through, learn the songs even better, even more so. See how how people are reacting to them. I'll be honest, right now, there is not one song. You said "Do It." Yeah, that's the rocker that everybody knows because it's a single.
Right.
But everybody else is picking. I'm picking songs left and right, going, "Oh, cool. Oh, good." So I'm not sure which of the songs I'll be able to put on the tour yet. So, what a beautiful way to.
There's no bad choice. I'll put it that way. You can.
Thank you.
Seriously, absolutely every one of them had me hooked. Feel It, like I said, that happened to be the first one that was released to us as radio. So as soon as I heard it, I started playing it, and then I got real attached to it. So that one.
Do you ever listen to your audience? Do you ever get reactions?
It's the typical. It's John Schlitt. I mean, it really is. It's what people love about you, about your voice, them getting to hear that. And it's, I play everything from, hip hop and R&B and some praise and worship, but it's called the Overdrive. So it's mainly literally what your album is more like. It's a little bit of, maybe some slower stuff, but mainly it's all high octane, whether it's rock and hip hop.
It's exciting.
It's exciting because I'm the afternoon show. I can't have people falling asleep at the wheel. So
exactly, you got to keep them awake. I love that.
Exactly. If I was doing the morning show, I'd say I got to wake people up. But I mean, that's my style of music, period. But yes, absolutely, that's the reaction is, I love, whether they know you or not, they love that, kind of just letting loose with the rock.
Yes.
Because it's so not heard on Christian radio. It's so hard to get it on there.
Yeah. No, remember back when actually Christian rock was accepted in the music industry, and you did get to hear the evangelistic side of Christian music.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't all catering to making you feel better. And
it's almost like the playing field was even. Yeah.
Glory and that it belongs in the church. I think it's fantastic, but I've always thought that Christian music should be outside of the sanctuary also. And it's hard to play praise and worship outside the sanctuary and have it be accepted. And it's the world. The world out here doesn't like God's music, and so you have to compete with the secular side of things and say, okay, you like music. Here's music. Now listen to what we have to say. And that's the battle zone that I've always seen it. So that's why I've always tried to make sure that the musicians I use and the producers I use are the best in the business, because we have to compete with the best in the business. So I'm glad that folks are satisfied with the quality. And as far as the message, you can't argue with the message. I mean, if you do, then you're not in the frame of mind you need to be in.
Right. And I think I used to tell people with with raising kids, like, I said, the world tells them, of things that they should like, and they end up wanting to do those things. And I said, you can't just say no to staying in a hotel on prom night, but you can host an all night thing at your house and like give them something fun to do. And but like for
Yeah.
music, what are kids listening to? Rock and hip hop. I mean,
Yep.
but where those fit on Christian radio, they're hardly ever found. And
You're right.
and even then, you can name the handful of artists that you do hear, that are that style. And they're not independents at all. They're major label, and they're people that have been in business for a long time. But that's what. How do you get kids who like those styles of music? How do you get them to listen to Christian music? Because they're not going to downshift into, I would say, first gear, but it's more like neutral, when they're used to being in fifth gear with,
Yeah.
the rock and the hip
Yeah.
hop. And then you go, okay, you want me to listen to a praise and worship song? That's not going to do it for me.
You listen to the secular side of music. There's some exciting stuff.
Really,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's driving.
Really
And
talented stuff.
It's not rock, but it's so driving that it's you don't blame the kids or what, because they're excited. They are young, excitable. Now the best I can do and be sincere with my music, to be real, is rock and roll.
Yeah.
But rock and roll is cool because it's cycling. It sort of goes in a great big curve, and all of a sudden it comes back, and it's the coolest thing since sliced bread. But you have to wait how many ever years. So,
right.
But I'll tell you what, I'm not just playing for kids. I'm playing for adults. I'm playing for people like you that totally relate to this style, and you deserve to hear new stuff with a message that is edifying also. So I write for people like us. And if the kids get into it, I praise God, because that is God's hand on it.
Well, I tell you what, you've got my kid hooked. My kid is a sold out John Schlitt fan.
Tell him I am so. He made my day. I'm very blessed to hear that.
And he's 25, and he's kind of, he's very picky about music. Before
Yep.
he gets attached. Now he is a big fan of 70s and 80s rock music, but he's also one of those where at the same time he'll be listening to pop music. He listens to everything but country. I have one kid that listens to country. Nobody else does, even me. I'm sorry. I'm from Texas and I still don't listen to it. I'm not saying there's not some good talent out there, and every once in a while a country song I'll go, oh, I actually like that one, but it's few and far between.
It's probably more rock than country.
Exactly. They infused it with pop or rock, and that's probably why I like it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Half the country artists are just frustrated rockers. Put a twang guitar on it and call it country.
There you go. So it's so funny to have that, because I was like, yeah, but for me, I was listening to Petra back in the early days when you were first playing with them. So for me, it's just so cool to have my adult son, be a John Schlitt fan, and to find it current, like for him to say this is amazing, because he's a huge Skillet fan. Anything like that, and Red, yeah, he likes the good hard rock. So I think there's a lot of kids out there that can relate to it. We just got to get more of it in front of them. I tell you, I hope this album, does amazing. I hope it reaches so many people, especially during this time where we could use the uplift. We could use some high octane on our music player. And
Amen. Amen.
And to have, and I tell you, you still have not been dethroned. You're still my favorite person to interview. So
I am glad about that, kiddo. Thank you.
and even Jason knows that. Even Mr. Fowler knows that he's not number one. But he's happy to play second fiddle to that, though. He's definitely a huge fan of you as a person, and especially your music too. So he loves you and Billy Smiley. He talks about you so much. He loves both of you guys like brothers, and I'm so happy that you guys are in each other's company, because Jason has so much talent and so much heart that, for him to be around the right people while he's, honing his craft is so important. And he couldn't be around a bunch of better guys to do that.
Well, with that formula I was talking about as far as putting a band together, Jason's probably going to be part of it. So if he'd like to do it, and then that way he can maybe open up and do some of his stuff too. So like I said, when I find somebody real who's got that kind of talent, I like him hanging around. So if there's something I can do to help him on that way, that'd be. And so, don't get me wrong, I'm selfish. He will help me amazingly. So it's not he's that kind of talent.
And he's just cool. He's very he's relatable in everything that he does. He can be playing at a drug recovery program, or he can be playing to the homeless on the streets, or he can be playing in an arena. Like, he doesn't matter. Wherever you put him, he'll shine it, and he'll bring this humanity to it that makes Christianity accessible. It makes people feel like, oh, I can belong there then. That it's not so far away from me. In fact, it might be closer than I realize. That, if this guy went through what he went through, and then he's up here, excited and pumped and full of life like this, and then has a beautiful wife and beautiful kids. All these kids are gorgeous. I mean, there shouldn't be that many gorgeous kids in one family. That's just not fair. And he knows how much I love his kids, so he'll put them little ones on when I'm talking to him, and I hear that, especially the little 2-year-old, and he's like, "I love you." But the whole family is amazing, and I'm so happy for him. And his oldest son actually did a music video for a band I work with that does. It's kind of like rockabilly. It's not. It's kind of like Need to Breathe. It's not country. Yeah. It's just kind of more like rockabilly style. And they did a really cool song called "Don't Judge Me," and it's very in your face, as believer to believer, that we should not be judging each other. And his son Maddox did a lyric video for us and pulled it off to where it's haunting. It really is. It's haunting as far as the message and in the way he put the images together. So his son is extremely talented, and just watching his son like go through all that, and just watching Jason get to be a proud dad through all that, it's been amazing. So if you ever need music video stuff, he's incredible. Or any kind of visuals.
Well, Jason is he dabbles in that.
He dabbles in it
also. Yeah. So for his son to be able to do that's pretty cool. I think that's very cool.
Well, I also too, by the way, Sue is a rock star. Sue's one of your rock stars. I think she's amazing. She is always just the most sweet, gracious person when it comes to saying, "Okay, it's time. I got to interview him again," and she's on the spot.
She is. She's been my assistant for I've lost count. I mean, for years, and does it. She doesn't work for me. She works with me, and she just believes in what I do and what God has chosen to do, and she's become part of the ministry. So it's pretty cool. I can't argue with everybody that deals with Sue, unless you're part of someone else that's trying to do something. In other words, if there's a company that's trying to maneuver me, or whatever. Oh, you don't want to mess with Sue.
That I can see that. That's why
Yeah, you
that's
don't.
why I like her. Like, yeah, don't
Yeah,
mess
you
with
don't want.
John's stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with her. Trust me.
That's the right kind of assistant or manager or whatever you want to call it. Like, yeah,
Yep.
she's the best kind of person to support your music. Well, I had to get going, but I swear I could talk to you all day, every day, John. You're so much fun to talk to, and thank you for bringing this album out. There are so many of us that were just tickled to get this album in our hands,
Good.
and it is fantastic. It's all I could hope for and more in a follow
Oh,
up album to The Greater Cause. It's
thank you.
just
Thank
fantastic,
you.
and
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You
we'll.
know, we're thinking about repackaging the Greater Cause
Oh wow!
and put a different kind of cover on it because just a second, I'm sneezing. Uh,
Bless you.
because this album cover for Go has been such a success.
It's very
That
eye catching.
the distributors are going, man, this record, this album is so total. You know, the Greater Cause should have had this kind of thing. And somebody says, would you consider repackaging the Greater Cause and have it? I go, well, I guess we could. Only because I've never felt the Greater Cause had the exposure it should. So we'll see.
And people are very visual. That your new album cover does make you want to listen to it. You don't even know what it's about. You just know I gotta at least see what it's about. So the visuals matter. They really do. Um, because we're in that kind of world where everybody wants everything in a sound bite. They want it. They want it in seconds, and they want it to grab them as soon as they look at it. So I think it could do extremely well, and I've seen many artists do that, repackage an album, and make it different. Some people think they just released a new album too. But yeah, I think that would be
I would
great.
try my best to make sure it was very clear that it wasn't a new album, unless I put like an acoustic, like we did with the Sinners and Saints, put an acoustic addition to it.
Right.
Add a one or two new songs or something. Although I'm not even sure if I do that because I don't want to manipulate. I just the new cover might be cool.
Might grab people.
It's just between you and me. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it, but I just because the Go cover is pretty cool.
I love it. Absolutely. And the album is fantastic. Thank you so much for always talking to us and for just giving of your time and keep playing. I cannot wait till you guys are back on the road. And I do understand why people are not on the road, and I want everybody to be safe. But I do look forward to everybody getting back on the road so we can start seeing everybody live again. So
thank you.
You guys stay safe and healthy. And again, thank you so much for putting out this incredible album. And you outdid yourself. I'll just tell you that.
Oh, thank you. I'll tell you what. Thank you for the encouraging words. I always need them. Trust me. We musicians, we may come across as pretty confident, but our insecurities are always right around the corner. So
everybody needs encouragement for sure.
Amen. Well, listen, you have a good day. Remember, wash your hands.
Absolutely. If you didn't learn before,
6 feet away from everybody.
Absolutely.
And when it's all said and done, we say we did our job.
Yep. And then I'm gonna hug everybody in sight because I'm from Texas, so I'm a hugger. So it's so hard for me. I mean, I hug everybody. So for me, it's just I can feel my arms spasming, like there's my kids don't want me hugging them right now because they don't want to get sick either. But but no, it's just that time where. I have 2 trips I've already canceled, because I couldn't go. And it is such a hard time for everybody. And looking forward to there's going to be so many things that God brings out of this, so many great stories and inspirations. And there's going to be a lot of things come out of this. And maybe people hitting the reset button and reprioritizing what's important in their lives, because this is a time where they have to sit there and think about things more than they would have normally. The distractions are removed. So there's a lot of things that God can bring out of a time like this for sure.
Amen.
Well, you have a
Amen, Carol.
lovely day, and thank you again for doing the interview, and thank you for this album. I'm just so excited. I love playing. Like I said, we've been playing Feel It, but I'm gonna play a couple more. I haven't decided which ones, but I but I don't, like I said, I don't know why Fighting the Fight is probably the one I'm gonna play next. I really do like that one. I like that. I
Great stuff.
kind of, I don't know, I go back and forth. There's a little bit different feel almost on each one that I like.
Yeah.
So
You go from one extreme to the other, kiddo.
exactly, I love it.
That's really cool.
Well, thank you so much, and we will talk to you again soon. I assure you.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, if you ever have any questions, please give me a call.
I will. Thank you, John.
You have a great day.